OffBeat Sports Podcast.
It's been a tale of two seasons for the Boston Celtics.
I probably aged about 10 years just from that series.
I'd probably compare myself to just a younger, smarter, more handsome, stronger Michael Jordan.
Let's go Celtics. Go Patriots.
These are guys who, when you give them a bowl of Cheerios in the morning, they finish every last drop of milk.
Absolute clown over here.
I'm ready when you are, baby.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the OffBeat Sports Podcast. Today we got me, Cross, we got Aiden, and we got Vosi on to talk Celtics basketball. We got our Celtics Hawks series preview episode today, so very excited to bring that to you guys. How we doing, boys?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for
I
asking.
am amazing.
I'm so happy right now.
I hate you. All right. What? All right. So we're gonna get right into it. First thoughts on the series. I mean, watching the game last night, Hawks versus Heat. The Heat put up a pathetic performance, and screw them. And I'm very happy that they lost. And I hope they lose again and they don't even make the playoffs. But we got the Hawks, and we are 3-0 against the Hawks this year. And I'm very happy with this matchup. I think this is going to be a great matchup for us, and I can't wait. Celtics playoffs are back.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a best case scenario for the Celtics. I mean, looking at the matchups, I think we were going to beat whoever we ended up playing in the first round, but seeing the talent on Miami's roster and Butler, Lowry, Hero, Bam, they have guys that may not have been as consistent as they were last year this season, but you never know in the playoffs. They could turn it on. Guys could get hot. I think that the Hawks are a much better matchup for the Celtics, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out last night. I think it worked out pretty well for the C's.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a worry either way. I'm not really worried about the series. I would rather definitely play the Hawks than the Heat, so I think it's a win for the Celtics either way. But I'm not really concerned with anybody on that team. I feel like we have the guys to guard Trae Young. And he's really the only guy.
Dirty lollipop.
He's really the only guy I fear on that roster that can really kind of do any real damage to you. Clint Capela's good on the boards, but that's pretty much it. So.
DeJounte Murray's pretty solid.
He's good too, but I just don't really feel like he does. He's not. I don't feel like he's a guy that's gonna change any kind of outcome of a game.
Well, I agree with you.
I just think he's real. I think he's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he's like a borderline all-star, but I don't know that he's a number 2 on a championship level team.
He reminds me of I don't want to compare him to Derek White because he's not. They're not the same player, but I just feel like he impacts the game on a bunch of different levels. But he's not like a guy that's gonna go in the game and put up 35 points and when you need it. He just doesn't really come off as that kind of guy to me. So I don't really feel like they have that spark plug. I feel like the Celtics have guys like that. They have Brogdon, they have Derek White. They have guys that can pick and plug that can go in there and get you points when you need them. And I just feel like the Hawks are kind of limited in that regard. Obviously, they have good scores, but it just doesn't. It's obvious there. I mean, their record's not close to the Celtics for a reason. So
yeah, I mean, you just started the comparison game, so let's play it. We're gonna compare each position. The Hawks position, star positions, and then we'll talk about benches as a whole versus each other, and then we will talk coach versus coach. So we'll start with the point guard position. Trae Young, Marcus Smart. Although I love Smart, I'm repping the jersey. He's my favorite player. Got to go Trae Young here. I think Smart will do a good job on him. I'm not really worried about defensively, but Trae Young is the better player, so I think they have the edge there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Marcus as well, reigning defensive player of the year, but this one is almost a no-brainer, and you pick Trae Young as the better overall player. He played great last night versus Miami, helped lead the team. But yeah, I agree with Cross in that I think Marcus can and will do his best to neutralize Young, but just pure talent overall, I think it's obviously Trae Young.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, talent-wise, Trae Young, it's not really close. I mean, if you want to look on both sides of the ball, I'd obviously say that Marcus Smart's elite level defense and I guess like average to subpar offense might kind of outweigh the fact that Trae Young's not a great defender, but he's an excellent scorer. But at the end of the day, I feel like Smart kind of shoots himself out of games sometimes, and Trae Young's a really good scorer. So I feel like it kind of outweighs it. And
Yeah,
like
and
I have to go with Trae Young.
I fully expect Smart to be able to take him in the post. I mean,
I'm not worried about him really guarding him
Smart,
inside. Obviously, Smart's a great defender. But
I know post Smart is elite, so I expect them to show a lot of trying to put Trae Young in the post with Smart. I think that might be a great strategy for the Celtics. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, Smart's definitely a better two-way player. Like I think Marcus's offense clearly outweighs Trae Young's defense.
that's kind of where I was going with that.
He's one of the worst defenders in the NBA. And
like
Marcus,
if you balanced out the two things, obviously I think Smart has that, but Trae Young's offense is such at a high level.
Oh yeah,
that Smart could play great defense on him and he could still get 20, where Smart might get like 10. And you know, like,
and I don't want to sound like we're being homers because we all know Trae Young is a better player than Marcus Smart, but I think we have somewhat of a mismatch in this situation.
I mean, Marcus Smart was the defensive player of the year as a guard for the first time in how many years? It's no, like, we're not being disrespectful either way. Like, we're giving him props. Just Trae Young's an elite scorer. So what are you going to
do? So then we go to DeJounte Murray. Let's just assume Derek White's going to start and they're going to bring Rob off the bench because I think based on lineups we saw, that's probably what's going to happen. So DeJounte Murray versus Derek White. This one, I think, for me, this is the matchup of the series. I think if Derek White can get that edge on DeJounte, that's where it goes from not that this is like make or break the series, but that's where if Derek White can outplay DeJounte Murray, we're going to sweep with ease. If he gets outplayed, the Hawks may steal 1 or 2 games. I doubt that, but I think DeJounte Murray has the chance to elevate the Hawks if Derek White isn't playing at the highest level he usually plays at. But I think right here, hot take, I think Derek White's the better player. Derek White is such an elite defender, elite shot blocker for a guard. And although DeJounte Murray's a great defender, Derek White has been on a tear offensively and defensively this year. And I think he's having a better season.
I mean,
might be a hot take, but
I don't know. I mean, I think it's not a bad take to say it's one of the better matchups. I personally don't think it's the best matchup. I'll say it when I do, when I get to that point. But obviously I think it's a huge matchup in the series because if Derek White can provide you what he's been giving you all season, that's huge for you. You kind of need it in this case. And DeJounte is such a great defender that obviously he kind of offsets what Trae Young is, but he's kind of more of a balanced player, which I feel like we were talking about this is like kind of a balance for Derek White. Obviously he's not the greatest defender in the world, but he's reliable on both ends of the floor, which is why I kind of see them as comparable. And so, I mean, if they can offset each other, that's huge for you because I think the rest of your roster outweighs the Hawks. So it is kind of a big deal where if Derek White can outplay him or match that level of play that DeJounte brings into the series, then I think that's going to be huge for you. So
yeah, I think it's a blowout if Derek White
I have to give the edge to DeJounte Murray just because I think he is a better talent. But I mean, it's close.
I disagree. But that's fair.
Season. I'm not taking anything away from Derek White. I just think DeJounte Murray's been doing this for a long, he's been consistently, providing on both ends of the floor, no matter where he's been. And obviously Derek White took his opportunity this year and took it with stride. He's been amazing. And I think on another team where he has even more opportunities to score, he could have been an all-star. It just depends on where he played. But, I mean, I don't really think that's a crazy take, but
I disagree with you. I can see where you're coming from, but I just think Derek White is such a dynamic player. Defense, I know DeJounte Murray is known for his defense, but Derek White, his defense this year was incredible. He was blocking shots like a maniac. He was hitting threes. He was finishing at the rim effectively, and he just turned it up for us. And at some points in games when either Tatum was having an off game or Brown's having an off game or we needed somebody to step up that wasn't
I get
JT
that.
or JB.
No, I understand.
He was there, and I I got to give this to Derek White.
Yeah.
I
know
understand
it's
your
probably
point,
a hot
but-
take, but I will die on this hill.
Oh no, I don't think that would be a hot take. I'm actually tempted to call this a draw because it's not fair to compare stats for this matchup because DeJounte is the clear number 2 on his.
That's what I was about to say.
team.
I was about
And,
to
like,
point that out. Aiden.
Derek
Their
White-
roles.
Derek
on their
White in some
respective
games
rosters
is
are
like
totally different, which
Yeah,
is
he
where I
does-
get my point from.
Yeah,
which is like
some
if
I was
Derek
gonna say
White was
some-
put in that position. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
if Derek
good, you're
White was
good.
put in the position that DeJounte was in, I think they could provide similar, if
Oh,
not
definitely.
almost matching stats. I just think that right where they are, I have to take DeJounte because he's proven that when he's in that position, he's been able to provide and be a good option for that team. Maybe not a scoring second option, but an all-around, well-rounded player and someone you can rely on both ends of the floor. He's provided at that spot where Derek White hasn't exactly had that opportunity yet. He's like a 3 or 4, which obviously he's excelled. So you'd think he'd. be
I
fine.
will die on this hill.
Well, I mean, like
I am prepared to die on this hill.
I'm not really arguing with you.
but if
Vositron,
you look
don't-
at the
don't test me, Vositron.
well, take a look at some of the games this
Burgers.
past season where Derek White has
Beat
been the number
sports.
1 option, like the Hospital Celtics in Milwaukee, and there are a couple games before that too where he was the number 1 option. He averaged like over 20 points a game that week. Great defense. So he has shown in the small sample size that he is capable of doing it. But that's another thing about Derek White. He's almost kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You know, he's very versatile. He brings a lot to the table. He does whatever the team needs of him, and that usually doesn't involve scoring. It's more so just playmaking, playing great defense. And I think that kind of offsets Murray's better stats just because White isn't asked to do as much offensively. So I want to call this a draw. I think they'll kind of offset each other in the long run, but I could see Derek White outplaying Murray for sure. I wouldn't say that's a hot take.
I could see it going either way. Like I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
All
I
right.
definitely could see it going either way.
I told you I'm gonna die on this hill.
I like pushing you off hills.
Offbeat
Though, so
sports. It's in the game. What?
nothing.
All right, DeAndre Hunter versus JB. This one's easy. JB.
I mean, dude, I'm
it's not
really
even
been sitting on
comparable.
this one, man.
Yeah, I will
really-
die on this hill. DeAndre Hunter is the better. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's
Jaylen Brown easily. I don't even think this is my.
there's no real explanation needed for this one. It's just one's an all-star, most likely all NBA level player, and the other is a role player. So
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Good debate.
I mean, I'd agree. Hunter's not a bad player, but obviously doesn't
Alright.
compare to Jalen Brown.
And I think the next one is the same lack of conversation. John Collins versus Jason Tatum. John Collins, this is easy. This is an easy pick for me.
No, I
JT.
think this is okay. This is
JT
easy,
MVP
but it's
candidate.
definitely closer. Like I think I like John Collins. He's been no. I'm not saying he's anywhere close to Jason Tatum. That's not at all what I'm saying. I just like John Collins. I mean, he's been rumored to possibly be traded here a couple times. I've always kind of liked him because he's a really good athletic forward,
Yeah.
and
But
it kind of
Fossey-
matches with our style of play.
Fossey, you're
So-
walking on thin ice. I will kick you from.
What do you mean? I'm not saying
Do not disrespect Jason Tatum.
I'm not. I'm saying I like John Collins' game. I'm not comparing him to Jason Tatum. I'm just saying he'd fit well, like in Boston. But I don't. That doesn't really have anything
yeah,
to do with
like John
adding
Collins
him.
he's a solid player. What's he averaging? Like 16 or 17 a game, grabs a bunch of rebounds, but he really lacks on defense. And I think that's the biggest thing keeping him from getting anywhere close to Tatum. He doesn't have anywhere near as much of a defensive impact on
He's
the
not
game.
as well.
Tatum.
He's not
He's
as much of a
averaging
well-rounded
13 1
player.
points per game.
Down to 13 this year. Yeah, his
Yeah,
Six
he's,
and a half,
he's kind of
25.
fallen off. His points have
Yeah.
fallen off. That's why the Hawks look to shop him. But
Yeah.
I still think he has good value. He kind of reminds me of Aaron Gordon, like younger in his career. Like he's just athletic and he can get to the rim and he can kind of score and stuff like that. But he's not an overall well-rounded player. I just like
He's
his
a
game.
shittier Blake Griffin.
yeah,
I
I
guess-
don't
Prime Blake Griffin. Shittier, like a Walmart Blake Griffin. Dunker.
This has
some
nothing to do with that,
versatility.
but I really hope the Celtics kind of keep Blake Griffin. Like
I love
after.
Blake Griffin. I thought
Yeah,
I
I
was gonna
mean-
hate him. Shout out Blake Griffin. Come on the pod.
I mean, you think about it with Collins' stats. Just 3 years ago, he's averaging 22 a game,
how's
10
your
rebounds, shot
baby with Lana Rhodes? What?
shot 40% from three. Now he's not even shooting 30%. He's fallen off quite a bit.
We're a PG program.
Sorry.
All right.
All right, go on track. All right, we'll go to the center position. My guy, Big Al. First, Clint Capella. Give me Big Al. Daddy Al for the win.
I mean, okay. This is where my matchup.
Al Horford was the second best shooter in the league this year, and he's a beautiful man. That's not ugly like Clint Capella.
So this
Give
is
me
where
Big
my
Al
matchup of
Horford.
this is my matchup of the series because
That's a
I
good
don't
matchup.
because I don't really obviously it's gonna be Al Horford as the starter, but if you have Robert Williams, Clint Capella is a really good rebounder. And obviously we have two shorter like bigs. Like Robert Williams is not very tall. Obviously he's a freak athlete and he's great in the post. It's not like something unknown, but Al Horford hasn't, he's not like the world's greatest rebounder. He's obviously great from the outside, where I think that's huge for the Celtics because Clint Capella is not going to be guarding him on the perimeter and he's going to get those opportunities to score. But it is a huge thing with the rebound battle here for the Celtics because obviously,
Have to box out. You cannot try and out jump. Gotta box out, which is where Miami fell short last night, last night they fell short because they weren't boxing them out.
That's just the thing. Is
Capella
like I think this is a huge matchup because like I'm pretty sure last night Capella had 21 rebounds. He didn't even have 10. I don't even think he had 10 points. I think he had like 8 points and 21 rebounds. But
he had 6 points. But yeah, no, I get your point.
But it's like he.
Oh no, 4 points. Sorry, I have it right in front of me.
He's great at one thing. Like he can do that specific thing. He's kind of like Drummond. Like he gets boards. Like he's good in the post, and I feel like obviously Robert Williams is good at that too. But he's more of like a running guy, like a fast break, like catch or lob, or I don't know. I just like it's going to be kind of a big deal, I think, for them to really box out and try to create more opportunities and keep Atlanta from scoring. Because as much as I want to say the Celtics are going to probably hopefully sweep the series. I mean, if they get outboarded and they can get the ball back to Trae Young and all these other guys and get shots open, you never know which way a game will go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with Vosi in that I think this is the most important matchup in the starting lineup. And even just looking at the playing game last night, the Hawks only shot 46% from the field. They shot 24% on threes. They didn't even make 60% of their free throws. But the key stat, they out-rebounded Miami 63-39, including 22-6.
The rebound battle is huge, man. I don't
care
how much
it's going to be key for not only Horford and Rob, but all the Celtics need to be boxing out.
Tatum's got to be a beast on the boards like he has. Most games this season. He's been very helpful in rebounding.
Good thing I see is that
I think he's got to continue that.
I feel like our at least for the most part, I feel like we have a good kind of matchup as far as like the boards battle goes. I think want to balance if you balance Rob and Al between Clint Capella. Clint Capella's no like god. Like he's a big body and he plays well in the paint and he gets the ball. I mean that it's something you can defend. It's not like he's it's not Joel Embiid is basically what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's like a slight advantage to Al, but this definitely could swing in the other direction if the C's don't box.
If they don't play him right and they don't try to get him off the boards, it could easily flip the other way because as much as Al can provide from the outside, if you can't get any rebounds, then I mean you see what happens. If you get outboarded, then it doesn't really matter how much talent you have around to a point. You could still lose.
So
I don't want to harp on it. So.
Yeah, now we'll go bench versus bench real quick. I think this one's easy too. I think the Celtics bench. They got Bogdanovich, Sadiq Bey, Onyeka, Okongwu, Jalen Johnson.
We don't really need to go far. Our benches played each other pretty much the other day, and we won. And Peyton Pritchard put up a triple double with 30.
And it wasn't even our whole bench. We didn't even have Rob Will or Brogdon play, which Brogdon is going to win the Sixth Man of the Year. So I think we have that advantage. Rob Will, I think, is better than all their bench guys. And then you go even deeper, and then you got guys like Sam Hauser, who shooter. Grant Williams, who is tough. He's had some great games for us. Even if we even get down to Pritchard's a great player.
We have confidence in Pritchard if we need him.
Yeah. So I think
the way Pritchard,
we can all agree that our bench is
awesome.
better.
Peyton Pritchard's confidence when he does get his opportunities, I feel like he always So if he goes in and takes, a couple threes and he doesn't make them, like you have confidence.
He
when
works his
shoots the
ass
ball.
off.
Well, but when he goes and when he's in the game, if he's taking that shot, you have confidence in him, like to take that shot, which I think is huge from the end of your bench, because most teams like that guy at that Peyton Pritchard level, when they get in the game, like when they jack up a shot, you're like, what are you doing? Because like I can think of Celtics from the past, like Celtics teams from the past, where the end of the bench, it's like you put these guys in and.
Well, I'm at the point where every time I see Pritchard or Hauser shoot, I'm expecting it to go in. Like
I call Hauser the Walmart brand Gordon Hayward. One, I think he kind of looks like him, but two, I just kind of think, huh?
Not even close to the same kind of player. That was a dumb take.
I just honestly call it by looks. I just think it's funny.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I think our bench is better. I think we all agree with that, right?
I don't think it's even close.
Oh yeah.
Although I really do like guys like Bogdanovich and Sadiq Bey. I really like them.
He's sneaky. So like that's one guy where like that's kind of like the one guy where I look at it and I'm like, all right, well,
Sadiq Bey
kind of need
kills
to
us
look
every
out for
time we
that
play
guy.
him.
He's the one guy that could explode off their bench. I mean, he's been good. He's been a good scorer everywhere he's been. He can provide, and he can shoot the ball really well. So I mean, kind of need to look out for him. At least if someone was going to be that kind of missing link or whatever, you never know who it could be. But if I had to pick a guy that would kind of go off for them, it's going to be him.
All right. Well, let's give our prediction on who's going to win and in how many games. So, Aiden, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I think this series will be a shorter one, assuming that the Celtics take the Hawks seriously and really put in the effort that we've seen them put in over the last week or two.
We can't do what Philly did a couple years ago?
Yeah,
they just took them for granted.
We got to show up, put in the same effort, put in the same defensive intensity, but I have the Celtics in 5. I think Atlanta might steal a game at home if they're down 3-0, or just they get the crowd hyped after the big win over Miami. They could steal a game somewhere, but I don't think this is a series the Celtics should be concerned about losing at all. I think they play like they have for the majority of the year. I would expect a sweep or a gentleman's sweep, but yeah, I'm going to go with Celtics in 5.
I'll let you go last.
No, you want me to go first?
No, I'll go. It's fine.
All right,
I think the Hawks are gonna lose in 4. I just at the end of the day, if you're gonna line it all up and you're gonna look at star power and you're gonna look at, if one guy's off, can the rest of the team pick him up and provide? It's not even close. I mean, if you were to put Jaylen Brown on any other roster, he's the best player on most teams in the NBA right now. He's been on a tear, and even without Jason Tatum, he's an impeccable player. So I just don't think they have anyone to match up with with how much talent the Celtics have and the kind of camaraderie as a roster that they've seen to build throughout the year. And as a second take to that, I'd like just to mention it quickly. I think it's huge that we got Atlanta in the first round and not Miami. As much as like Miami looked bad last night, and obviously Cross thinks it's gonna be sweep, so there's that. As much as
give me the sweep
that we got Atlanta and stuff, Miami had a bad game. We have not played well against them so many times. And I just feel like it's huge for us because you don't know who you're going to get next round. Obviously, I mean, we kind of have an idea as to who we're going to play.
Right, Philly, but yeah,
that road to getting back to the finals, in my eyes, becomes so much easier because I feel like Jason Tatum has an easier matchup in this series where he can kind of get in his groove, and maybe by that time he's not as tired out when he comes to the finals.
Well, yeah, because last year we had 2 7-game series plus
do you know what I'm saying?
That series where we swept
provides an opportunity for them to have more time and to be a better rested team and just more ready to go for each series.
Well, yeah, because if you have 3 series that go 6 or 7 games, by the time you get to the finals, it's going to be.
Because I don't want to say that the Celtics wouldn't sweep the Heat, but I mean, last year the Celtics were better than the Heat too, and look what happened.
We went to 7.
I mean, Jimmy Butler missed a run up 3 with seconds remaining in Game 7, where he could have, I believe, either took the lead or tied the game. It came down to that realistically. like you never
Mhm.
know, and he's a great player. So it's huge that they are avoiding that because at the end of the day, the Heat have a way better star power on that roster, and they've proven that they can play you well and
Mhm.
find ways to beat you.
Plus they have motivation. Like we sent them home
Yeah,
last
like
year in the Eastern
they have
Conference
a reason to
Finals.
want to beat you
Like,
more than
yeah.
Atlanta. So I
Mhm.
think I know I'm not
Yeah.
trying to drag on. I just think it's a huge
Mhm.
thing, and it's a good thing for the Celtics that they're not playing the Heat. Not because I don't think they
Yeah.
couldn't beat it, but I mean, it really just in my eyes, it increases your odds of getting back to the finals, knowing that you're playing this team where your two best stars aren't facing any kind of matchup that challenges them, and they can get in their own groove and kind of play their game.
Mhm. All right. Well, we're going for the sweep. I got Celtics in 4. I'm not worried. I think we should easily win this series, and I think as long as they don't play around with this team, they'll be fine. Just gotta go in, take care of business, and that's all I got. So I'm not gonna go into that, but yeah. So do you guys have any final remarks?
Should be a good series. Thing to keep an eye on, as you guys kind of touched upon, the Hawks don't really have any great wing defenders, so should be a good series, good time to get JB and JT into a rhythm. They should get going offensively from the get-go, so that could be key, especially looking ahead. Should we win this series, could have some tough matchups with Philly and potentially Milwaukee in the following rounds.
Yeah.
My kind of only like take, obviously, you know how I feel about the series, you know how I feel about Atlanta. I think we're gonna win. Someone I'm looking out and hoping kind of see an improvement from, if they get, serious playing time. I hope Grant Williams kind of comes back to life and shows some energy if he gets time in the game because obviously if we end up playing Milwaukee, we're gonna need him. So I hope he kind of gets some playing time in
We're
the
gonna need him
series, knowing
against
that
Philly
we're
too. He does pretty good on Embiid.
like
So
knowing that we're a better roster than this, and obviously we might have opportunities to dive deeper into our bench. I hope he gets an opportunity in this series. I don't really like him that much, to be honest. Personally, he's not my favorite, but I know how much he's an importance later down the road in the playoffs for this team. So he's someone I'm looking out for in this series and hoping that they kind of start to come back and he takes kind of a breath of fresh air here and gets a little bit of energy. So
yeah.
but that's it for me.
All right. So thank you all for watching or listening. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at offbeat_sports and on TikTok at offbeat sports. Make sure you subscribe to our channel below. And we will see you next time. And be sure to be on the lookout for all our series posts. And we will see you after the Celtics finish up this series, and we will have you next time.
All right. Have a good one.
Call them all Texas.